Good morning, my name is Sylvie Pouliquen. I work at Gisbert and I chair the Data Management Exchange and Quality Working Group within the EuroGOOS Association. Today, I will present the progress that we have made in the past 20 years on the implementation of FAIR principle within the EuroGOOS community and what are our plans for the ocean decade. EuroGOOS is an association of 44 members coming from 80 countries. They define together strategy and work plan approved by the General Assembly of the members. The actions are carried on by the EuroGOOS office and the overall communities. What is important to say is that the observing systems are developed through regional systems for the different European regional seas. That standards and priorities are developed through working groups on different subjects such as data management, coastal biology, ocean literacy or technology, and that network cooperation and integration are made through task team, and we have them for different type of platform. Altogether is more than 137 organizations from 30 different countries that are working and collaborating together. The Data Management Exchange and Quality Working Group has been set up to guide EuroGOOS members in the in-situ data management considering the existing system, to propose solutions to unlock data for operational and research purposes, and to deliver standards for data meeting principles of findability, accessibility, interoperability, and reusability in more simple, fair principle implementation. It is composed of 30 experts representing the different regional systems that operate the observing systems, the task teams that foster development of European services around observing platform, of European data services developed as integrated services at European level, and of EU projects that have a data management expertise to share within the Data Working Group. So, in 2005, when we decided to set up the Data Working Group, we had a situation of a coastal network organized through regional network with contribution of European partners to global networks and also to collaboration at European level. When we were speaking of the users, then the situation was much more difficult. Operational users needed to connect to a wide variety of data services to get the data they needed. There were no regional hubs that existed at regional level, so everybody had to connect to everybody's services, and we do the assessment many times. Data were duplicated in various services with potentially different level of quality and no unique ID to track them. Open data policy was, of course, an exception, and no common standard were agreed upon the EuroGOOS. Therefore, what we decided to do in the past 25 years is to agree on a common set of standards that would be implemented at all the levels. In other words, to say, implement FAIR principle within the EuroGOOS community, agreeing on a common set of metadata vocabularies to be used by all networks, to agree on a minimum set of near real-time QCs that will be known by everybody, and agreeing on basic services to distribute the data for discovery, viewing, and downloading. This allows to develop a backbone, a virtual exchange backbone between the networks and the different integrators at European level, and also to have the capacity to develop integrated services at the European level. The systems set up in the 2 decades have been supporting the development of European services on one side and on the rules national services on the other side. It's about 7,000 active platforms that are presently exchanged in real time, more than 45,000 platforms that have been exchanged, that are exchanged covering the past 50 years. There's more than 300 providers that are connected. And if we focus on the European seas, we see that this exchange of data is even more important the closer we go to the European coast. In 2021, we issued a survey to see what was the situation at the level of the EuroGOOS community. And first, we look at the data provider side, trying to know if they were delivering the data they require through European services. And what we can see in the graph here is that a significant part of them are really using and delivering through the European services. Then we asked them if they were aware of the documentation that the data working group had produced and if they were using them. So what we can see is that 75% of them are aware of their existence, but only 50% of them are using them. And so we asked the question why. And what the feedback that we got is that they would like to implement them, but they have difficulties, and they would appreciate to have more support for them to implement FAIR principles, either through best practices, online training, or even training workshop or training material. And this is something we have to work on in the next decade. Look at the user side, trying to see if the European services that has been set up was useful. And the conclusion is that yes, they are useful, and that the users are really using them and are keen on that we continue to develop them. So they are aware of the potential of FAIR services to facilitate their access to in-situ observation, but they would appreciate to have more support through to be more aware of the existing service through an European web hub, for example, and also support to use them through training material, workshop, or webinars, as there are support. These FAIR services are often supported by new kind of techniques like big data techniques. In the next decade, challenges are to develop fair machine-to-machine data and metadata services to facilitate the development of integrated services, including digital twin observation, to support data providers in setting up such services close to the acquisition of the observing data, to support open data policy on core essential variables for operational oceanography, extend common vocabulary and standard to more EOV, moving from physical to biogeochemical and biological, and to develop cross-network quality assessment procedure and fair documentation on the core essential ocean variable to facilitate reusability. If you have any question, the floor is yours.